Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 22nd of October 2018. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at a few instruments, I believe, whose charts are quite interesting right now, developing quite nicely right now. So, before we start looking at the charts, let's quickly have a look at our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay guys, so let's quickly have a look at the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on is the Shanghai composite here. Of course, overall, as you can see, we're still below, trading below this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 29th of January. Of course, recent developments here, as you can see, we are having a nice spike here to the upside from Shanghai composite here. And today's candle already closed. This daily candle already closed nicely here. Got closer to this downside resistance line, and of course closed above this area here, this area of support that we had. Well, initially it was acting as support, then it acted as a very nice area of resistance. So it kind of closed above that, and that's approximately around the 2640 zone. Now, of course, for now, just we're gonna stay put here. Gonna see how tomorrow's day evolves. But if this is gonna continue further, we could potentially make a run through here, make a breakthrough through this downside resistance line, and aim for higher levels. Of course, of course, in a way, we should still stick to the downside resistance line here, and that's what I'm saying. So, for now, just to stay put here, keep your eyes on this one, because if we're gonna get a nice break here above that, this could potentially lead towards slightly higher levels. As you can see here on my chart, I've got this highlighted area at around 28-25 zone. Now, if we're gonna get a nice break above this, now this is where it could potentially become more interesting for the bulls, because we could see this one dragging all the way higher here towards the next potential area of resistance at around 29.16 here, marked by the highs of the 25th of July. Initially, of course, if that doesn't hold, I mean, we could travel a little bit higher again, but keep your eyes on the 200 EMA here, shown as the black line on the daily chart. Now, this is where initially could potentially the index stall. As well, I mean, even let's say if this travels higher, the line here could eventually actually reach this 29.16 zone, approximately there, and this is where, like I said, this is where the index could potentially stall for a little bit until kind of the bulls and the bears decide who's going to take control here. But for now, of course, I'm talking about a scenario if we're gonna get a nice break here through this downside resistance line, and then we're gonna start testing the 28.25 zone, which eventually could be broken, and then it could potentially open the path towards higher levels. But for now, from the very short-term perspective, be very cautious here. Like I said, stay put and keep your eyes on this downside resistance line, because if we're gonna get a nice breakthrough this one, then it could potentially start targeting slightly higher levels. On the downside, well, I mean, even if it's going to hold, for us to get comfortable with the downside from the very short-term perspective, for those short-term traders, you could in a way look at this little level right here at around 65 zone, approximately there, because a nice good break below that could potentially lead towards another test of the 25.10 zone. Now, just to kind of remind you, the 25.10 here was all the way back here. It was the high that we saw around the November time in 2014. So in a way, this could be a nice potential area of support if, let's say, this if this index decides to drop lower here and then decides to drop below the 25 to 65 zone. I was talking about the Shanghai composite in one of my videos last week, and basically, as you can see, and I was mentioning about these two levels here to keep an eye on. So we managed to break this this level here, this 2510 to the downside, but then actually never kind of got below the 2440 zone, so approximately there. And just to kind of remind you, the 2440 was this little low that we had here. Let me just kind of drag this on here. This little low that we had around the November time, again 2014. So the low of the of the 19th of November, approximately there. Now this is, like I said, the index kind of struggled to overcome that level, so in a way it proved to be a very nice bouncing area for the bulls here, and so now we're seeing this rush towards this downside resistance line, which eventually could get tested probably tomorrow. But again, let's not over speculate too much, and let's keep an eye on it. And if we're gonna get that nice break here through this downside resistance line, now this could be quite interesting going further on. Jumping into silver, one of the precious metals, and of course, similarly as with the gold, it's also stuck here for now, is just waiting for that either big news here or some sort of a bigger move. So for now, of course, looking at this from the very short-term perspective, we're still holding on above this short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 11th of September. It's in a way the commodity stuck here between the 1450 and the 1477 area, approximately there. So until we kind of make a better move here, so in a way, until we make a better move here, we're just going to stay put as well on this one. And the levels that we're going to keep an eye on is, of course, this one on the upside here. You could start looking at the 14.77 area. A nice good break above that could potentially lead towards a test of the 14.91. Or even actually the psychological 15 zone. Now this is probably for the short-term traders here. Keep your eyes on the 1477 area, approximately there on the upside. If we get a nice break here, this could potentially lead towards the levels that I was just talking about. But from the for the downside here, now this is where it could become more interesting. Now let me just actually get rid of this line here because it's no longer valid. So for those who are more conservative, of course, you could keep an eye on this short-term upside support line. If we get a break here below this, then yep, this could potentially lead towards a lower level like the 14 point. Just let me adjust this slightly here. The 14.23 zone, approximately there. But if we start seeing breaks below this, now this is where it could become more interesting for more bears, for more conservative bears, because this could potentially lead towards a drop towards the area near the 13.95. As you can see here, it was marked by the lows of the 11th of September. So in a way, for now, the long story here, the long story short here could be that wait until we get a nice break here, either through the upper side here at around 14.77 or the downside here, the 14.23. But to be honest, for now, be very cautious with the downside. Certainly we could drop here maybe a little bit lower, or should I say correct here a little bit lower, where it could meet this short-term upside support line. But if it continues to hold, we could potentially see a bounce, and we could see maybe more bulls picking up on that, on the lower price, and then potentially driving this one higher. So for now, be very cautious and keep your eyes on these levels here. Looking at DXY, now this is an interesting one as well. And looking at this daily chart, you can see that today's day is kind of already marked by a strong bullish candle. Let me just jump into a 4-hour chart on this one. And you can see this nice uprise here, this spur to the upside. So for now, we're gonna keep an eye on this one here, and potentially we're gonna, well, of course we're gonna keep an eye on this little level right here, where it seems that the DXY kind of found its resistance, and that's approximately around the 96 zone. So basically a nice good break above this could potentially open the path towards this next potential area of resistance at around 96.15, which was marked here by the high of the 9th of November. October. I do apologize, going a bit into the future here, but so keep your eyes on this one. The next potential area of resistance, if the 96 zone gets broken, could be, like I said, could be this 96.15. So keep your eyes on that one. Of course, if the 96 level continues to hold, then, well, we could see maybe another slide here lower a little bit. Keep your eyes on this 95.80, this potential area of support here. But if that doesn't hold, well, I mean, for us, to be honest, for us to get more comfortable with the downside, we would probably need to take here a more conservative approach and wait until this kind of drops below the 95.50 zone, approximately there. As you can see, this area here acted as a very good area of support a few times here already. So keep your eyes on that one, on the 95.50. A nice good break below this could, of course, send this index lower here towards a possible test of this upside support line, this short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 26th of September, from which kind of, if it continues to hold, yep, we could see more bulls maybe jumping in here again and potentially driving this one back up here. So of course, that's a bit of a long shot here, but again, for now, keep your eyes on this level here, the 96 zone. For now, this is looking more bullish than bearish, and yep, we could potentially lead towards a another move here towards the 96.15 zone. So for now, be very cautious, and yep, keep your eyes on the 96 zone. GBPUSD, now this is another one, good one here. I was talking about this one and this morning, and basically this is what's happening here today, and we're seeing this nice decline, this nice break of this short-term kind of, or short-term upside support line, taken from the low of the 15th of August. Now, in a way, we could get rid of this one right now and keep just that one. So in a way, this kind of confirms that there is some more potential to the downside. Of course, if today's daily candle is going to close, still going to close below this 130.10 zone, this could be opening the path towards the next potential area of support at around 129.20. So keep your eyes on that one. This is going to be quite an important level to watch. As you can see, in the beginning of October, or to be more precise, on the 3rd of October, this kind of area acted as a very strong area of support, from which kind of the pair bounced and moved higher. So in a way, we could be testing that level again, the 129.20 zone, approximately there. But if this time it's not gonna hold, and if it's gonna break, now this could look ugly for GBPUSD, and we could aim then for a possible move on towards the 127.85. But that's of course more of a longer term shot here, but nevertheless could be a nice target, as this was marked here by the lows of the 5th of September. Now, but for now, just be very cautious. Keep your eyes on today's daily candle close, and let's see how this evolves. But again, like I said, this is looking more bearish than bullish at the moment, and our next potential target here could be this one, the 129.20. On the upside, for us to get comfortable with the upside again, well, I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one, but nevertheless, if this gets back above this upside support line, and then eventually we get a nice close above the 130.75, now this is where we could then potentially aim for much higher levels. So, but for now, judging by this current picture, it seems that it wants to continue traveling lower. And the last pair that I really wanted to quickly touch on, and that's euros against the Swedish krona. Now, looking at this daily chart, you can see that we are trading still above this kind of slightly more of a longer term upside support line, and this one has been running here since October 2017. Now, certainly keep your eyes on this one. At the moment, as you can see by the daily candle here, it's kind of turning more bearish, and in a way it seems that it wants to travel a little bit lower, maybe potentially test this area here at around 10.28775, something like that. So 10.28775, this could be a nice area of support. As you can see, in the past it acted as a very nice, again, kind of held nicely the pair from kind of moving lower, and that was on the 28th of September and also on the 17th of October, which was last week. So in a way, if this is going to get to this point here again, this is where we're going to keep on monitoring it very quickly, carefully, I would say, and quickly as well, because if this is going to eventually break, now this could open the path towards much lower levels here, and the first potential good area of support could be seen near the 10.23 zone. As you can see, it was marked here by the lows of the 30th of July, and also kind of acted as kind of a nice good area of support as well here in the beginning of July, in the first days of July. So in a way, this becomes quite an important one to watch, but only if we get a nice good break here below this long-term upside support line that I was talking about, and of course a close below the 10.2875 zone, so approximately there, of course. So for now, be very cautious here. Tomorrow we do have the Swedish bank coming out, and with the interest rate decision, so yep, we could see a bit of movement here in this pair. So yep, be very careful. And on the upside here, keep your eyes on the 10.37 zone. A nice good break above that could potentially lead towards higher levels, a little bit higher, of course, where the next potential good area of resistance could be seen around here. Let me just quickly mark that here, and that's approximately around the 10.42 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. We could see something interesting happening here tomorrow morning during the European morning, of course. So yep, for now, keep an eye on these levels here, guys, and let's see how this develops further. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and if you wanna join me tomorrow morning at my Traders Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time, 7 o'clock British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye-bye.